what is your recommended strategy for selling my home and why? Pretty broad question.
It's an extremely broad question.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's really like what the entire listing presentation is, right? It's like, what's your process? And I think that most agents or a good agent should have a pretty detailed process of how we get from us sitting here today to you moving out, getting that money in your bank account. That part of it, I think, is just like basically what they're saying is, what's your process? How are you gonna bring this to market? How are you gonna get this in front of the right people? How are you gonna get people through the door? How are you gonna get an offer? How are you gonna negotiate? How are you gonna get me through?
I think I agree with all of that. I think when I looked at that question, my thought process was explaining the things that I'm doing is your strategy. Because I feel like sometimes it's, oh, you just take pictures and list the property. No, you have to take high definition photos. No, you have to actually do a video walkthrough. You have to do a floor plan. Like, those are all strategies. Those are just the things we're doing. Why? When you're looking on sites like Zillow and Trulia, it's pretty much geared towards looking pretty. So if you have the nicest looking things, it's going to look better against all the other things you're going against. If you have a floor plan, that buyer could already, by the time they get there, start thinking about where they want to put stuff. So they're not focusing it on, this door was a lot further away from No, they're going, I know exactly where everything should be. And they're actually coming to see if they like the actual home, not to figure out if their couch that they bought 5 years ago could fit in the living room.
Right.
Because that's what I see so much, where I have clients that do that, which is fine. Like, you're buying a house, like, you should be concerned about that. But the reason why they're concerned about it, because there was just no floor plan. Yeah. Like, that's a strategy to help sell your home better. Pricing. When we go back and forth of, I want to list my home for this price. It's not just a price, it's a strategy. This price will get X amount of people in, this price will get X amount of people in.
What I always say is, price at the end of the day is our best marketing tool. You know, you would think most agents know, okay, let's get professional photos. You would think most agents say, okay, let's get a floor plan. A lot of them don't. You do Matterport, which is like the virtual tour. All of those things, in my opinion, should be standard across the industry. They're not, unfortunately, but then on top of that, there's differentiators. And I think that throughout that process, you know, when we sit down in this listing presentation, like I said, a lot of it is going through kind of our process, but also highlighting the differentiators. What makes us different from agent X, Y, Z, whatever. I think that there are things that most agents do, and then there's things that agents that go above and beyond do. So, you know, I think pretty much anyone with a license can figure out how to get photos. A lot of times, I mean, you would think, but a lot of times they don't. But I feel like the bare minimum is like, get good photos, get a video, get a floor plan, get it on the MLS, do open houses, get people through the door. Like, all that stuff I think is kind of expected at this point, but highlighting the things that you do that might be different from other agents. Like, okay, you're gonna do an open house. Are you gonna, what kind of email blast are you sending? Are you gonna call the neighbors in the area and let them know? Are you gonna maybe introduce yourself to the neighbors and say, hey, I'm listing the house down the street? Like, all these little things, I think it's very important to highlight those when talking to a seller, to show them that, like, hey, I'm not just taking iPhone photos, putting it up and crossing my fingers, hope that we get. Because over the last year, you could get away with it, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Like, you could get away with shitty photos because people are so desperate and rates are 3, 2.5, 3. So they're gonna come and they're gonna look and probably buy it anyway. But I think as we see the market shift a little bit, whenever that happens, you're gonna start seeing the agents that go above and beyond taking more market share, because they can communicate the fact that I'm not just the guy that's here to snap photos, get it up, and then put it on a lockbox and let people go see it.
Yeah, what's funny, like, I think, this sounds like we're tooting down the horn, but I think we've always gone above and beyond. Like, that's the funny part, it's like, we've always done this. We've always done it this way. Good market, bad market, this is a process.
You have to, because the second that you don't do those things, you know, like, you sit back and that becomes the norm. And then when it's time to go do those things, you're like, oh yeah, I forgot, I gotta send out this flyer or this email blast or whatever it is, because you didn't have to do it 6 months ago. So I think you have to treat every deal the same, regardless of the market, regardless of the price point. You have to do all those things to check the boxes, because it's our job. That's what we get paid for.
I agree. I keep saying these things that sound like I love talking about myself, but I do. The other thing I think that helps market the home is the agent.
Yeah, of course.
If you give, you know, Tom Brady the playbook and you give the backup the playbook, like, the person who could execute the playbook the best is going to probably win. And sometimes Yes, the other agents said they're gonna do the same things. Great. I'm the best at doing those things. That's just it. So yeah, they can get professional photos. They can do all the things I said I'm gonna do, every single thing. I will execute that better than they will. Just that simple.
And the crazy thing is that a lot of agents don't even do a lot of that stuff.
No.
So it's like, I mean, how often do we see it where we're clicking through the MLS and it's iPhone photos that are upside down?
All the time, all the time.
It's like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta at least look at the listing once you post it. Like, maybe you should rotate those.
What's hard about it is we send our clients, searches through Compass and Top Agent Network and PLN and things of that nature. But most everyone is looking at those syndicated sites, Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, and it's geared towards just catching their eyes. It's like, I know you don't care about putting up great photos, but that other random person that probably would have bought their place wasn't intrigued by that crappy photo you put up. We, on the other hand, look at everything. So we see crappy photos and go, oh, gotta look at it anyway, because we understand the market. We know if you see, a 2.2 under 500 in this neighborhood, you're like, let's go. Let's see what it is. Where the average buyer just might not. It's like, I don't know, that doesn't look good. I don't know where the back door is, X, Y, and Z. So
right.
I think there's a lot that goes into it, that just in putting up great photos, but I think the agent is also part of the marketing.
Yeah, and outside of that too, it comes down to presentation of the actual property, like when you're on a showing.
The agent. Oh my God, this turns into like a complaint thing. This is not what we want to do.
But
going to a showing and you not knowing, I get it. If it's day one, I get it. I've been in that situation. Day one, I'm like, ah man, let me figure out the HOA. I'm still waiting to hear back from blah, blah, blah. But if we're on day 30 and you can't tell me the reserves,
or if you're just not there,
just don't show up.
Right.
And here's my thing, I get it. We can't be everywhere at one time. And if that's the case, you should have all the information. If you're not gonna be there, I get it. Everyone's got kids and family and different clients they're working with, I get it. Hey, can I get this, and this? Yeah, we don't have the information for any of those things.
Well, and it's also like the ability to read people and to present the property in a way that shows how it can fit their needs. And that's something that I try to do every time I show a property, is I want to ask the right questions so that I know how to position this property in a way that answers the questions that they have, right? Because I know that if we walk in and I know they have 2 kids and 2 dogs and they want a yard and they want to be close to the dog park and they need X amount of bedrooms upstairs, I can position the property in a way that makes it work for them. Or maybe I can't.
Even if there's things that, because I feel like the average buyer doesn't have the imagination. And we do, because we've seen thousands of properties. So they might not understand that changing carpet in this bedroom isn't a hassle, or adding a closet door here or changing the way this door, no, that's doable. It's very doable. Oh, that backsplash, you do realize this is X amount. Like, oh yeah, I didn't realize that. Or they might feel as if a closet's too small. You realize, well, this room is 19 feet. You can bring, oh yeah, I didn't think about that.
Right.
Like, we're able to make it work for that person. And this is why Chat GPT would never replace us, because you need that human component. Right. You need that human component to go, hey, here's what happened in the showing. Here's what I thought they were thinking. Here's what okay, that's the information that you should be able to get. If people weren't involved, real estate would be very easy. There'll be no emotion. It'd be so easy. It's worth this, pay this. But people pay over, people sell for less. Like, there's things that are happening that are outside of our control. That's like when clients say, hey JP, this place sold for 25K less. Why do you think that? For the pictures, it looks like the same place. They could have sold it to their family members. They could have had an agent that didn't negotiate properly. Like, they could have been a special assessment in the building at that point in time, and you have no idea. It's tough. So that human component, I think, is huge in our industry.